Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Mike, Glenn, and Brian, the engineer. How are you? Good morning.
Man, I'll tell you what, we are on our own path, aren't we?
Oh, and no doubt about it.
But I mean, we're similar paths, but man, we are on the path of recovery.
Hey, so two things. Number one,
Yeah.
I was listening to the episodes to upload them onto the portals, and there was an episode.
Did I say the F word?
No, I'm hoping Brian's paying attention right now, the engineer, Audio Hive. And at the end of the session, we were having Brian chime in. Except Brian wasn't live, right? So we would say like, so what do you think about that, Brian? And then there was like 18 seconds dead air.
I think I heard that. That was funny.
And then I'd be like, oh yeah, that's really interesting. And then another 12 seconds dead air. Brian, chime in. Make sure you're live. Are you live?
There it is. He's live.
All right, hold on.
Uh-oh. I got to figure it all out.
Right,
High end here.
Tell us when you're live. Tell us when you're live.
The studio
All
just
right.
keeps getting better and better, man.
Yeah.
I think the studio is
It's
nicer
really
than Joe
comfortable.
Rogan.
And this morning we walked in and he had like a little fireplace going on the big monitor right
no.
here. And I thought, wait a minute, are we going to change it from Sober.Coffee
I think we got a little
to Fire
shrinkage
Chat?
over here. Wasn't
What
this
happened?
monitor like a 80-inch
that was big,
monitor?
yeah,
And
yeah.
Now it's like a 50-inch.
Well, the water was cold.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The water was
Shrinkage. No, man, it's a great studio.
cold. So anyway, good to see you, my friend.
Good seeing you, man. It's like the
Yeah.
parking lot. We always say we should start the show in the parking lot because that's where all the fun starts. But, I just pulled up and I had to share a note. Somebody left a note in my car this week.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're out in the parking lot and you said, hey, somebody left me a love note on the car. So where did my brain go to? You've got an adorable wife.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Now, you got kids that are traveling, so that kind of perplexed me because the kids wouldn't have left a love note in the car.
No kids.
So then I'm thinking, it had to be your wife. It had to be your wife. And I thought, how
God, that would've
cute
been cool.
is that?
That
So
would've been cool.
read the little note for me. It was quite powerful, quite lovely.
Yeah, it shows it works. To just let you know, I get up early and I roll to work and I roll, it's a hot minute. I'm coming in hot. Right?
Coming in hot.
So, but I got this note. I was leaving for a meeting around noon, and so I see this thing in my windshield. I'm like, oh, that's trash. The winds are blowing, right? Tornadoes, and so I sit there and I'm like, oh no, I think that's a note. So I pull it up. It's this little piece of paper. I'll post it on social media. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. It says, "You're very nicely written out, right?
Yeah,
right?
good handwriting, yeah.
Yeah, you're the kind of person that makes everyone say, 'Learn to park better, asshole.'"
Oh, good morning. Maybe it was your wife.
And so, no, maybe, but, so I got out, and I'm self-conscious now, so now I look, and yes, my right front tire was on the line.
Oh,
right?
boy.
On the line, and my car's a little crooked because I come in hot, and I'm not really paying attention. I'm usually on the phone, or, So it's funny how I react to that today.
Well, today you chuckled.
Yeah, well, today I felt like I owed somebody an amends. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I wish I knew who did this because I would go up and apologize.
Could be the asshole that's parked next to you.
I don't think it was. And we kind of, our windows face the parking lot. We have a great view out of our windows. And so kind of aware, but we couldn't figure it out, right? But, we actually wondered like the building cameras would catch. But it amazed me because the old Glenn would have been like, F you, and the old Glenn would have parked in the handicap spot, right?
Right.
He would have,
right.
And think I was entitled, right? But I really felt it, man. I'm like, man, I wish I knew who that was. I could make amends, and I should learn to park better, right?
Parking better is really overrated.
And I said my business partner, and he says, they're right. He said, you park like shit. And I'm like, no, okay, I'll work on that.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. But, it's just totally different than how I would have handled it 10 years ago.
Well, would you have taken it personally 10 years ago?
No, I would have said F you.
Okay.
I would say, who are you to coach me?
It would have gnawed on me. I took everything so personally before. Like like the world evolved around me, and people were out just to. I mean, obviously they were out to make an impact with you, but I felt that about everybody.
But I wanted to end the next day because I went in the next day, and man, I'll tell you what, I measured to make sure that I was perfectly, equidistant, on each line, and the only thing I can think is I'll let my behavior show my amends.
And there you go. Living amends.
And I'm coachable today, and I take input, and I don't, I don't care. I don't want to park bad. I don't want to, but it's just funny how that little thing.
Yeah. So I don't know how we segue here.
I have no idea, man. I just thought it was funny how we were talking about that out in the parking lot.
Yeah, that is funny. I mean,
Parking Lot Live.
Love notes. So our segue,
new podcast, Parking Lot Live.
That's right. To our topic this morning is.
We have one?
Yeah, I think we do.
Brian, we have a topic.
We have a topic.
Look at him, man. He's got the great studio over here.
Oh, look at that. It's
championship.
High tech. All right, so our topic for today is what do we have to offer for the newcomer? Glenn, can we still relate to the 3-day sober dude gal?
I can. Absolutely I can.
But are they relating to you? I mean, you got some years now of sobriety, and so
that's a question.
You've got this wisdom. You don't have this. I mean, you have this kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's wisdom. As you tell your story, there's a certainty about it, and there's a consistency about it.
Like a confidence about it?
Yeah, there's confidence about it. There's everything that a 3-day guy. I remember being 3 days, and I was raw. I'm like, whoa, hang on to my chair, right?
So I think a couple things. Number one is I think it's very well if you work the 12 steps, right? Mm-hmm. Now, we have listeners that don't believe in the 12 steps. They say the 12 steps don't work, and for me, that's just wrong. For you, that's just wrong.
Right. It worked for us, right.
It's absolute genius. And we've had input from some really well-versed folks that say, if you think AA doesn't work or the 12 steps doesn't work, it's because you haven't surrendered and worked them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, two very key people in my life, and one in yours have said that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we have people that are sort of curious and what's all this 12-step stuff, and right. So I think with the 3-day, I think it is, if you're committed to the 12-step,
mm-hmm.
right, which is helping the next alcoholic,
mm-hmm.
right, and serving others and serving the next alcoholic, then I think you have to be prepared and do the work so that you are prepared to help,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you and there are some people that get on their high horse,
mm-hmm.
I'm 20 years sober, and they're self-focused on elevating themselves,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think to relate to the 3-day,
mm-hmm.
the 3-week person, I think you have to
unelevate,
deflate, right? Yeah. I think you got to get in the trenches,
mm-hmm.
right? And so I think it's important to purposefully get in the trenches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does that look like, right? We always use these words and phrases, and I think one of the things that the feedback that we get is we define stuff for people,
mm-hmm.
right? So what does that mean, get in the trenches? What do you do to get in the trenches?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well,
what do you do?
Well, I think first of all, mentally I prepare myself, because when I go to a meeting and they do the quiet time followed by the serenity prayer,
uh-huh.
I take myself back to October 13, 2018. I need to go back there for a nanosecond just to connect with not my situation, because I'm going to get back to that in a second. A lot of these 3-day, 3-week gals have situations going on that are a result of where I was on day 3 weeks. I had all kinds of, my world was falling apart, right? My
3 days, my brain didn't even work.
Yeah, my finances were a mess. My relationships were a disaster. My physical well-being was non-existent. So, but I have to go back. I try and tap into the feeling that I had, the feeling of despair, desperation, and defeat. I had to come back to that. That's how I start working with, hopefully can relate, because I can't, our stories aren't going to be exact, right? They're not going to be exact. Maybe my wife didn't leave me. Maybe I didn't crash my car into a pole. But what we do connect on, and what I spend time and energy connecting on is where we are emotionally. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so to go back to your first point, right, it's how you prepare in a meeting. I think you go one earlier, right? One step up and you say, what meeting am I going to, right? So there's a number of meetings that are available to us, right? And I think if you want to understand and take yourself back to raw, take yourself back to 3-day, I think you got to go to meetings where the 3-dayers go.
Which
right?
would be like a 6 p.m. on a Friday
right.
night.
It's not usually 7 a.m. on a Tuesday.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Right.
So if you want to go back and remind yourself of what it was to be raw, I think you've got to go back to those first step where the greatest propensity of having first step meetings where those new people come in and it is raw as can be, you know, and I think for us, and I know a lot of people can't relate to this, but our 7 a.m.ers, you know, is almost like,
well, think about it. You're pretty serious if you're getting up at 5 to get to a 7 a.m. meeting.
Yeah, but it's almost like college level or grad school level of 12-step, whereas the 6 p.m.ers
Friday night,
or Friday night, or you know, where people are coming in, some of them are coming in drunk, right? Sure. So I think that's the core is, okay, if I want to get to that space, right, and I want to find that, I got to go to the meetings where that is represented.
Well, that's pretty interesting because you do more than me. You find people to work with. I mean, you find them online, you find them offline.
Yeah, I find a lot online.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed recently is people are referring me to raw people.
Okay.
Right. So people like we have, you know, like Kate. Kate S. You know, she knows on the Sober path. She's got a family member.
Okay.
Right. You know, pastor of our church got a guy. You know, I got a sponsee in Michigan. Got a guy. Right. So I think if you're out there, if you're out there and it's known that hey, you work with people and you know then you have more opportunities. Right. If you're quiet about it. You know, that's why, you know, I balanced between self-promotion and just keeping quiet, right? But, I mean, if people don't know that I wash cars, nobody's going to ask me to wash their car, right? So
how do you make your first connection to relate to that person with 3 days, 3 weeks? I mean, are you telling your story? Are you telling them about the solution? What is your MO?
You know what? I think the first key is connect.
Yeah.
I think it's, hey, brother, hey, sis. Well, first of all, I don't really go up to the women, but what I do is, you know, because on social media, you know, a lot of women connect, you know, and I right off the bat, like, look, I'm a dude, I'm not your guy, but man, I got some women, right, who will answer your call, you know, and I've got 3 women who will do that, right? So I think, but like, when you go to a meeting, you know, there's a raw person or 3-dayer there, right? I think it's important for me. I put myself back to that 3 days. What did I feel like?
Yep.
What did I need?
Yeah, we're on the same page, right?
So I think what I needed then is, I mean, I purposely go up to those guys after the meeting. Normally during the meeting, right? Once you identify, you got a fresh guy. Normally I'll make eye contact. I'll give him a nod. I'll give him a thumbs up, right? Just to make them feel, man, you're in the right place, man. You're welcome. You're not a fish out of water. You might feel like it, but you're not. And then I go up after them, like, hey, dude, what's up, man? Good to see you. Good to meet you. You know, how are you? You know, and you just open-ended questions, and they usually open up.
So you're not flying at them with a pitch. You're right.
Good luck.
Right. Exactly.
Good luck.
I mean, because there's so many pitches that bubble inside me, like, you know, and so many lines that I want to use, but I refrain from doing any of that until she knows that I am there for them, right?
I just think a 3-dayer, I relate back to, now when I was my multiple times having 3 days, I was hurt. I was in no shape to listen to anything. I was just there. I was just a being. You know, and I value just somebody connecting and saying, hey, man, I hear you. Thanks for your share. You know, hey, man, I feel your pain. I've been there, you know, and just let them write the script, you know. But I've watched people come in, man, with their 12-step, hey, do you have the big book? Let's start underlining the big book. I'm like, what? Like, so, but that's a little different than 3-weekers or 3-monthers, but I'll tell you, I purposefully put myself in the 3-day pool because, we both had a lot of pain. A lot of people had a lot of pain, right? And it's easy to cover that up. But I think if you cover it up, you don't do good work. I think the AA elite or the 12-step elite, they're like, oh, I got 20 years. But like last weekend, I went to, talk about being purposeful. I went to see my buddy Justin Furstenfeld at Blue October, and he had this open letter tour, this open book tour. It's called I Laugh at Myself. And for 2.5 hours, man, he told stories. And he had the whole, it was very intimate. It was like 500 people. He had people weeping in tears from his painful hell stories, right? So he also had people laughing, but he brought people back to his point of pain. And I was tearing up, man, because you know what? I felt that cold bathroom floor that I slept on for a week because I couldn't leave the bathroom, down in St. Thomas. I took myself back to those pain points, and part of me is lest I never forget, right? But then part of it is to recognize, oh my God, that was then, this is now, like, wow, But he talked about, sucking dick for cocaine, and he talked about all the shit that he did and just, all the consequences and the progressive spiral to hell, and I related to that. And it's funny because there were 500 other people in that audience that all related to it too in one way or another. Everybody understands that spiral to hell. Right. And I think, the alcoholic hell, there's nothing better, there's nothing more important than that hand that's there, right? Doesn't mean it's always taken, right? And that's part of being there for the 3-day guy, the 3-week guy is, wait, they have a saying for it. It's, and early on, right, I'm like, oh, I got the message. I went, now I could, I don't care about their reaction. I'm just there for the message because what they say is when they're ready, there's nothing you can say wrong. Right. But if they're not ready, there ain't nothing you can say that's right.
Oh, my goodness. How many lines were thrown at me? And they were good lines when I was out there. You do it for your kids. Do it for me. Do it for your health. Do it for your, right? And none of that connected. None of it made any difference to me. I love what you said, though. It's relating to the pain, and I think it's very consistent with the way I was looking at it. I just need to kind of get back there and be empathetic, empathetic to their position at that moment. And again, I can't relate because I never put my car into a pole, or I didn't, or I can't relate because my wife didn't divorce me. But I can relate to.
But you had enough other shit.
Yeah. Oh, I had enough other shit that they didn't have. But but where we intersect is at that point of pain, and that's why I try and be empathetic and understand that, not to understand their situation, but their soul disease at that point.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest awarenesses that I make myself today, and I think just people in general, is people have busy lives, right? And so, sometimes when I go to meetings, I feel like I'm just checking off a checkbox. Oh, I went to a meeting. Tell my sponsor I went to a meeting. Right? Glenn, was the last time you went to a meeting? Oh, I went yesterday. It sounds good, but what did I do when I was there? Right? What was my frame of mind? Was I answering emails? Was I answering texts? Was I, what was my objective? What, did I put my phone down? Did I pay attention? Did I meditate? Did I relate? Did I listen? Right? Did I connect?
Did you connect? Right. I was just going to say
that. and there's so many times, right? It's like the dude. Remember the dude? They jumped on the Zooms. He's like, man, I hate these Zoom meetings. Like, I just can't. I can't connect with anybody.
All right.
And I'm like, dude, wait. You show up at 7:05 for the 7 a.m. meeting. You don't turn your camera on.
Right.
You don't. You have Galaxy, whatever. You don't even put your name on the Zoom, right?
And then you bug out.
You don't share.
Yeah.
You don't read anything,
Right.
and then you log off at 7:55.
Right.
Right. And so I'm like, why don't you reflect on kind of your actions? And I mean, you're never going to connect with anybody. And I'm like, why don't you do this, and then a week later, he's like, oh my God, I can't believe all the people I connect with. I'm like, right. So it's the same thing, right? I mean, if you want to be there for the 3-day or for the 3-weeker, do the right stuff, right? You can't show up and be in your phone and be, not be present, or not be engaged. And it just blows my mind, my own state of mind. I need to coach myself when I go in. Hey, be present, be engaged, right? Yep. Connect. But I'm telling you, there is no greater reward. One of the superpowers or keys to amazing sober success is that 12-step, is being there for somebody else. Because now all of a sudden, all that pain and shit of your past, right, drives your purpose, and it becomes useful. I mean, I can't believe, walking drunk and getting bit by a dog, and not even knowing it, and I mean, those stories, you can use the pain of your past for purpose to help somebody else. And you know what? I think that's part of the forgiving process, because the more you start to use your past as a message and purpose to help others and fuel to help others, I think it's like, hey, man, I'm not going to be so hard on myself. I went through that, because look at the good that it's doing today.
I love that.
But,
I
but
love,
you got to be present.
I love the reward that's delivered for the little effort that's put in.
How many people you sponsor today?
3.
It's rewarding, man.
It is rewarding.
I mean, it's just rewarding, and that's, I mean, and I'm not saying you have to sponsor people. I'm saying you probably should, because that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that's where you get out of yourself, right, and you start investing and plowing into somebody else and their purpose in life, and help them figure stuff out. And it doesn't feel good in the time. We talk about this all the time, taking the time, and it's drudgery sometimes, and I got to sit with so-and-so and listen to their same stories again. And, but man, I'll tell you what, I think that's where the magic happens. And, shame on us for not connecting, for not sharing the message that was given to us and the solutions and toolbox that were given to us. I think, it's like the talents, man. Don't bury your talents, use them. Use them.
Love it, man.
And they're all done in different ways, know.
Yep.
But I think you have to purposefully, get in the pool where those people are.
That's my walk away. I need to change my meetings up a little bit because I do have something to offer that guy. What I've got to offer that guy, gal, is hope. Maybe I don't have 5 days in front of his 3 days where we might be able to relate to situational stress, but what I've got is hope. Because I'm living a different life right now that's very rewarding, and I've got that needs to be delivered.
I think it needs to be intentional and purposeful, right? I think you have to, for example, you were in a text string. We were, I have not gone to another meeting other than our fellowship. And I go to different times. There's 3 different times I go, and you see different people at each one, but there's different flavors or whatever. But just got invited to one on a Saturday night. Coming up here, and you know what my first reaction is?
I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that.
Right.
Saturday night? Are you kidding me? It's 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
I go to bed at 8 o'clock on Saturday night.
And it's a hall. I mean, it's not down the block from your house.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to back out now.
No, right.
But I'm like, right. I mean, that's my first reaction. Is I don't want to do that. Like, go to another club. It's uncomfortable, right? People I don't know, and it's all the comfort zone.
Right.
I think our crock brains programmed to live in a comfort zone, and now there's all this stuff I got to do, and I'm like, but one of the things is probably going to be newcomers.
Right. Yep.
It's
my takeaway.
And so I think you have to be purposeful. And like we've talked about many times, it never feels good in the moment.
Right.
But afterwards you reflect. say, hey, man, I'm grateful I had the opportunity to take my story and take my pain and share it, and somebody else got some value out of it, right? Like wow, like I thought I was an absolute loser, and now I'm using those examples to help other people.
Right.
So I think you got to be intentional. I think you got to be very purposeful. I think you got to get in the pool, where those people are, and I think you got to engage, connect, have empathy, and I think that's where the magic happens.
One more thing. You got to learn to park better. Thanks, buddy.
Hey, man, I get it. I wish, I was going to do, I was going to tape that note on an 8.5 by 11 and put it on the front door and say, you are right, I am sorry, behavior corrected.
There you go.
Something like that.
I love it.
I was, man, but it's amazing how it bothered me. But it's a cute note. I'll post it on social media.
Love you, brother.
All right, love you too, man.
All right, man. Talk to
Be
you.
purposeful.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@Sober.Coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.
Stay safe in the city of Chicago. Beautiful city.